That's a winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Woo, sir. How we doing? Manchester United 3, Reading 0. Manchester United move on in the fourth round of the FA Cup. Bit of a snooze fest in the first half. Erik ten Hag, he went for blood. He played a very strong 11, I think, knowing that he can rotate quite a bit for the second leg of the Nottingham Forest match coming up midweek. But either way, it was a Brazilian show in the second half. Casemiro with a brace. Fred with a nice little back flick. Anthony probably should have had a goal at the end of the match. And arguably, Rashford denied a record-breaking 10th goal in a row at Old Trafford, a record that is set, I believe, for 60 years, sir. So a real shame there because people are saying it should have stood. But either way, Manchester United move on next round of the FA Cup. This manager, this team, we like trophies, sir. FA Cup is one of the finest ones, oldest cup competition in the world. And either way, United are moving forward. So that's more games coming down the chute. How we feeling? How we doing?
Hey, when you win in the FA Cup, the 142nd edition of the oldest football tournament in the world, you're doing well. We're into the fifth round proper, inching closer to that trophy. We're thirsty for trophies. We're hungry for signings here at the American Red Devils podcast and dispatching a mediocre championship side Reading. You know, it's just table snacks. You got to have your little table snacks. It's Cup week here. They're going to play Nottingham Forest in the second round of the EFL Cup. I don't know why we need 2 games for that one. Regardless, we're playing for trophies. You got to be winning and beating these small teams. When you get into the finals, you get into later stages of the FA Cup. You're going to have some big matches, and we have to make sure we do not fade. After the fifth round proper, it's the quarters. Going to be in March, semifinals in April, and boy, do we hope we're playing the final Saturday the 3rd, June 3rd. What a date. Obviously, because we're in World Cup, you're getting cup competitions in June. You would love to see us in the FA Cup final.
That's incredible. They're still going to be playing domestic cup competitions in June. So much for a summer break. And just an aside before we get into this match, you know, I get it. I get all teams and all people that run cup competitions want more games because that means more TV money. But the fact that they haven't adapted for the World Cup season, being in the middle of the year, or even just the amount of fixture congestion in general. FA Cup replay still happened in the fourth round. That's absurd. And EFL semifinals happen over 2 legs. That's also absurd. But either way, Manchester United do the job at home. Old Trafford, a little subdued until the second half. But Reading, they sat back. United opened them up in the second half. You get to see Andy Carroll get sent off, which was great to see. He arguably should have been sent off earlier in the match, but that made it even sweeter. Just hilarious to say Yuskas Bastard on the way out of Old Trafford. And United do the business, sir. Clinical. They do what they needed to be done. Had a couple derby moments. They had a good save. We obviously conceded a goal in the second half, but we march on.
Man, what happened to Andy Carroll? I didn't even recognize him. I was like, they said Andy Carroll. I was like, what? I had to double take. Looks like he had a few quarter pounders of cheese on this side of the pond. He looks like he's out of shape playing in the championship. A once horrid Liverpool player, which, you know, you gotta love him at the end of the day. I'm a big Andy Carroll fan. Liverpool.
Big Andy Carroll fan.
Horribly, yeah. I miss the days of Liverpool playing Andy Carroll.
Andy
Peter Crouch. Yeah. Peter Crouch, Andy Carroll for Liverpool. Those are the good old days. Now they're actually like half decent. Not this season, but you know what I mean. Like the old days with Jamie Carragher and Andy Carroll. I think they spent $40 million. $40 million from Newcastle. That was the peak. And I would say the low is definitely getting the red card against Manchester United. And we got the kids on. Another big point here today was going up big and then giving minutes to Palestre, Mainu, you know, getting the kids involved. That you love to see that at Manchester United. I feel like we've been just like fighting from the bottom of the barrel where we haven't had the breathing room to like get the youth in. And that creates a huge that's got to be big for camaraderie. When you have the young kids coming in, they're passing it to them, get them a touch, try to get them a goal. You're up against Reading. Those are the vibes you want to see at Old Trafford.
It's a great point, sir. And it's also just, we haven't had the opportunity to bring in young players because we haven't blown open matches the same way we would have liked. And when it has happened, it's happened late in the game. This one, it was kind of dead by the 60th minute. So it was great for an opportunity to get in Palestri. He looks to have a role now. He's in front of the pecking order, in front of Alonga, who looks to be looking for a loan. That's the rumor that we're hearing, that he might be either going to PSV in the Netherlands or going to Dortmund in Germany. But like you said, Manchester United has been built on a great youth transition from the academy into the first team. And the players that are fighting for a spot in the first team training or even on the bench or even in the squad, they know there's a path. They look at Marcus Rashford. They look at Garnacho. They look at Kobe Mainu. There is a way to get integrated in this side that doesn't exist at a lot of other clubs. And shout out Manchester United for being such a storied club and also understanding the importance of youth. You love to see it, and you love to just. This is a game that would have been annoying under an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I wouldn't have been this convincing, of course, but it was never in doubt. And they were just kind of annoying to play against in the first half because they packed so many players in. They were so tight, so many players behind the ball. But we did the job, and Casemiro, what a player he is.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to just Casemiro. I think we expect him to be this amazing, but what a chip finish on the first goal. Like, what you shooting from there? I don't think I've seen a banger like that since Matic hit that one at Crystal Palace. I mean, what a goal! He's a signing of the summer. I thought it'd be Eriksen. Casemiro's getting all the shine. I mean, he looks to be a bargain. 60 million plus however much money we're paying him every week, 400 grand.
Worth it.
Absolutely worth it. He's a beast. I feel like he's really just rejuvenated this entire team. I feel like the midfield. And you got to give Eriksen a shot. I feel like he does a lot of work. He's coming to a different role. That midfield of Eriksen, Casemiro, and Bruno, that's really changed the game at Manchester United. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough in the first half because Sir Alex Ferguson was taking a nap up there in the stands.
Not the only one. Not the only one.
Another highlight, he looked like he was out. I seen my dad making that same face, and he's out. Usually he's watching baseball, not EPL in the packed stadium. Quick PSA for the podcast. If you like the America Red Devils, we are for fans, by fans, no sponsors on the pod. We just keep it straight to that hot Muppet take from the couch. We do it for the love of the game, and we want you to support us directly. So check out our Patreon page. We have tons of benefits. We do a behind-the-scenes podcast episode, but really it's a tight-knit community, and we just want to be supported by fan support in 2023 because, again, you have sponsors. They might try to tell us to stop saying sir so much or something like that. So we can't kowtow to anyone. And if you like us, check out our website as well, AmericaRedDevils.com, AmericaRedDevils.store. Check out our merch. We have great scarves, hoodies, shirts. Alex will ship you everything straight from his garage. Sir, tell them about iTunes reviews.
iTunes reviews or 5-star reviews of the America Red Devils podcast, wherever you listen. It's a great way to support the pod. It helps us get found organically. And even better, we got an extra special giveaway at the moment. We are giving away free custom America Red Devil Glazer out scarves. They're not gone yet. And I'll tell you what, green and gold never goes out of style. All you have to do is write a 5-star review wherever you listen, ideally on iTunes or Spotify, and send a screenshot to AmericaRedDevils@gmail.com with your mailing address, and I will personally pick, pack, and ship a free Glazer out scarf. Send it right to your door anywhere in the world. I swear they're coming. We've just been getting so many reviews coming in that I'm basically sending them nonstop like an Amazon warehouse. But here's a great 5-star review from Cody Miller. Awesome. Love listening to them after every United match for the breakdown. Appreciate you, Cody. Appreciate everyone else writing those 5-star reviews. Speaking of 5 stars, at times Manchester United were 5 stars. I'll tell you what, Casemiro was 5 stars. Manchester United 3, Reading 1, Old Trafford, FA Cup 4th round. What do you have to say about it, sir?
You can tell how excited Alex is because how much he's slapping his knee. He's like, so fired up. It's like, we got to remember we're doing a podcast. We got to stop stop knee slapping here. We're so excited about this win. Manchester United 3, Reading 1, Old Trafford, FA Cup 4th round proper. Let's get into that knee slapping lineup. Dave saves, world number 1 in net. We had Malacia at left back, Magoo, Lindelof, center back pairing. Man, this used to be the top 2, and so glad it isn't anymore. AWB at right back. He has come back into form. Eriksson, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes midfield. That is the best midfield in England, and you love to see it. Rashford on the left. Wow. At number 9, undroppable Wout.
Undroppable.
And Antony on the right. What do you think of this lineup? Very strong from Erik ten Hag. Very strong.
Surprisingly strong, sir. And I like that strongest midfield in England. I think that's true. It hasn't been true for a long time, probably since Fergie, that we had arguably the best midfield in the league. I was a little surprised to see such a strong 11. Mainly defense up. Everybody, that's basically your starting 11, even if you're playing at Barcelona. And then I thought about it. We already beat the shit out of Nottingham Forest last week, and we're playing at home in the second leg. So I imagine a lot of these players are going to get rested, probably except for Maguire and Lindelof. Who knows? But strong 11, you can understand the intent from Erik ten Hag. He's going out, he's trying to win, try to kill the game early, and then make subs. And in many ways, that's what he did, sir. What do you think of this 11 when you saw it?
First half, United come out and dominate possession with Reading sitting back, super compact. They were absorbing pressure, sir. We've seen this whenever you play championship sides at Old Trafford. They're just going to come back, defend, like a Sean Dyche team. 14th minute, Rashford tests the keeper with a stinging free kick. Wout tries to score with the follow-up, but it was blocked by a defender. 18th minute, Antony just wide with his favored left foot. Again, trying to justify that price tag. And 33rd minute, Antony finds Bruno well, but his shot goes just wide of the post. He's just off a little bit here. That lightning left foot should be finding the back of the net, hopefully in some big EPL games coming up. And 37th minute, Rashford scores a scrappy header to make it 10 goals in a row at Old Trafford, but VAR, a harsh overturn by VAR. Probably the right call, unfortunately. How do you feel about this VAR intervention to take away Marcus Rashford's record?
I mean, when I saw it, I didn't feel hard done by at all. It looked like a clear offsides. And then the crew that I never agree with, because I think they're one of the worst announcing crews that you'll get for the American side of the pond, which is the ESPN FC crew. They are truly awful. But they were even saying that this should have stood because the defender plays the ball, even with Wout offside. That basically cancels out the offside, according to the rules. And it's happened apparently in a Liverpool game this season where Salah was a mile offside, but once the defender engages with the ball, it negates his offside. I wasn't too fussed about it because I knew we'd get back in this match, but it's just, we talk about this all the time. It's the consistency in the Premier League is all over the fucking place, and this is another example.
It's not the Premier League.
It's England. It's England. It's the same refs that you use in the Premier League. That guy who refs the game today, he refs EPL matches. It's run by the FA. So at the end of the day, we've had good luck go our ways with VR and bad luck, and that's just the name of the game.
For me, it comes down to the definition of a deliberate play by the defender. If you actually read the bullet points around the language for deliberate play, it wasn't deliberate because it has to be a pass or a chance at a clearance. This is more of like a deflection. And that's where and so as called, it was right. This was the right call. It's harsh given Wout is just barely off. And it is the defender did try to play it, but it's not a deliberate play. A deflection, a shot coming at you and reacting to it, having it bounce off of you is what happened versus what the definition of deliberate play. So I actually think the ESPN crew got it wrong. Obviously, the Muppets just want to hear it's not. I mean, but like if you actually read the language of deliberate play, it didn't really classify. It's one of those things where like, was that a clearance? I don't think so. That was more of like a deflection. It's on the fence, but you shouldn't need this goal to beat
correct
Reading at home. And 44th minute, Casemiro goes down the box, penalty shout. Again, I agree with this one. It's if the ref calls pen, it's a pen. If he doesn't, VAR is not going to overturn because clear and obvious.
Yep.
Welcome to clear and obvious. We've been doing this for 10 years in the NFL. Now you're going to get it in football in England. 45th minute, United caught out sleeping. De Gea saves well. Kind of a snoozer of a first half. There was another chance there earlier in the first half as well. We were dangerous. Nothing came through. And I just felt like there was just like a slow pace to the game. It wasn't an exciting game from us. We could have done better in this first half.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to a certain extent, but also Reading were really kind of just packing it in to extent I don't think we've seen this season under Eric Ten Hag, where they've just everyone back, and they weren't even trying to push forward. They did some more in the second half, which made it a much more exciting watch. Should have been sharper, but we had our chances, and you knew this United side would get their breakthrough.
54th minute, Andy Carroll avoids the yellow card, another one. And then obviously what really matters is 55th minute, no-look pass from Anthony to Casemiro for the deft finish.
Here we go. Deft finish indeed, sir. You would have thought that is a in-form Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes. No, that's Casemiro, the best CDM in the world. I said it, in the world. What a finish, sir. What a finish. He played so well today, and he also offers that going forward, which is just kind of unbelievable. But a player of his pedigree, player of his ability, he can do that. And you know what? Anthony still has a hard time justifying that price tag, but today I think he showed a little bit more. He cut inside more. He made a couple of these good passes. He had one for Bruno in the first half, which was that good chance, and then obviously this being his first assist as a Manchester United player. Week in, week out, I'm hopeful that he'll justify that price tag. But Casemiro, you don't have to argue with that price tag. He's worth every dollar. We could have paid more for him. I'd be happy.
Absolutely. A great assist from Anthony. Again, I don't see that valuation. And it's tough for a player to try to shake a price tag like that, Sure. That type of price tag, he's got to be beating a man on the right wing. And we're not seeing that. You see a lot of dingle dangle. He did less of it today, but you still see it. And his link-up's good. Coming inside, his link-up's really good.
Much better.
You're trying to play a right wing at Manchester United, and you have Rashford on the left. You're looking for someone who can get in behind, beat a man, and change the game. I think he's just got to continue to adjust his game and improve. You got to give him time. He came from the Dutch league. You got to give him a year, but that price tag would suggest you shouldn't. So it's only the price tag that's a problem for Anthony. And probably some competition, like having Sancho out there. That'd be great. I think Sancho coming into this team, he can play on the right, he can play on the left. I really think we're dying to get Sancho back in this side because right now, Wout's undroppable, Rashford's undroppable, Anthony's undroppable, and we need to see someone kind of challenging these guys for these spots. 56th minute sub, Fred for Eriksen, and then absolute banger here in the 58th minute.
Casemiro. I don't know if it gets a deflection or what, but it's a sweet hit by Casemiro. You can tell how much he enjoys it when the goal goes in. And we're like the most, he just has so much joy, sir. He seems like he's loving life at Manchester United. Obviously, he came from one of the great clubs of England, but clubs of Europe, and joined one of the greatest clubs in the world in Manchester United. Obviously, going to get paid, but he also seems to be really enjoying himself. He's a passion. He is a leader, and turns out he's a goal scorer as well. I didn't think he had this in his locker, a curling boot from outside the box, but hey, here we are.
I watched all of his highlights at Real Madrid. He has a banger in him. Like it's not often, but he has like a 40-yard, 35-yard screamer. He has a hell of a right boot. And, the fact he's even shooting from there is ballsy. And the fact he's finishing from there is incredible. 60th minute, Scouse bastard Andy Carroll. Washed up Andy Carroll red card. Thanks for the laughs. Thanks for the memories, Andy Carroll.
Yeah, Joy, I don't even think anyone in the MLS would want him. We're like, who? You don't even have name recognition. He was a flop at Liverpool. We're good.
70th minute, our other Brazilian in midfield would get a goal. This one's rare and a cheeky finish.
Fred the Red, here we go. What a ball in from Bruno Fernandes, and you must say a nice finish from Fred. Backheel flick, Ronaldo-esque, but either way, he's feeling it. He's playing in good form. Good to see him come in, do a job, because you know what? Whether we like it or hate it, he is going to have to contribute, along with McTominay, over the coming games. We have so many freaking games between now and the end of February in the run-up to the EFL Cup final against Newcastle. It's going to be against Newcastle, mark my words, obviously. And we have Barcelona in between. We have a bunch of important league matches because all league matches are important. And Fred, hey, good for him, you know. But he also had like an insane shot a little bit later in the game, which is just the most Fred encapsulation of who he is as a player. Like, at his highs, he's a really good player, and as low as he makes some daft decisions. But hey, good for him and getting a nice goal.
Yeah, I mean, great finish. So like you said, like the most Fred thing ever is like the ball lands on his feet. He has plenty of time, and he boosts it like to the upper deck of the Stretford end. And that's like, yeah, that's like never changed. Never changed, Fred. 70th minute double sub, Garnacho and Facundo for Rashford and Bruno. And then Reading would peg one back, unfortunately, here in the 72nd minute.
Like you said, sir, caught snoozing in the 72nd. I do not think Rafael Varane and Lisandro Martinez concede this goal. United just caught sleeping at the front post. Lindelof's doing nothing. Wout wasn't doing much. Neither was Anthony. You know, I'm sure De Gea was fucking pissed because he wants a clean sheet, but wasn't to be. Reading get a goal. I don't think it was deserved, but United got to be doing better because clean sheets matter.
They do matter, but when you're up by 3 and then you're putting in the kids against Reading,
it's true.
Yeah, it's all good. 73rd minute double sub, Elanga and Manu for Weghorst and Casemiro. And then the last chance here, Garnacho finds Anthony, who should score, but he can't settle his 89 million pound feet here.
That's great. That is great.
And that was it. Manchester United 3, Reading 1. We slapped them, sir. Proper clap upside the head. 25 shots to 4, 6 on target to their 2, 79% of the ball to their 21%. They didn't come to really do anything. They came to just sit back and defend and hope for a draw. But what do we know? Let's check in with the manager, Erik ten Hag.
I am looking forward, sir. It is not posted yet. So as we search for it, what do you think Erik ten Hag would say about this performance today? You think he'd be disappointed? We're doing it right after the game. This sometimes happens where it's not always available straight off the presses. But let's see. Here we go. No, that's the preview.
Sir, we do it live here at the American Red Devils.
We do it live.
If we don't have the Erik ten Hag presser, we can move on to the EFL Cup here.
I can't find it. I looked on Twitter. I looked on YouTube. But I'm sure he would have said, hey, you know what? Played well. We were in control for most of the game. I played a strong 11 because I'm going to rotate midweek. He might not have said that, but you know him. He would have been.
No, he would also criticize us for conceding a goal.
Say,
we got to be better.
Yes, exactly.
He'd be like, focus. Team has to focus. Or, could be more clinical. As far as who's left in the FA Cup, Scouse Bastards are playing tomorrow. West Ham are playing tomorrow. Tottenham won big today against Preston North End, 3-0. Fulham
tied. Sunderland, sir. Ahmad actually got to play. He played okay, but they have to do a replay. City beat Arsenal yesterday. That was one of the big games that happened. And like you said, a bunch of matches tomorrow as well, right?
Yeah, so City's still in it. Leicester's still in it. Leeds are still in it. I mean, this has City versus United all over it. I really like the teams that are left. Obviously, we're going in the 5th round proper. Anything can happen. EFL Cup, FA Cup. These are trophies that we should have been winning these in the prior seasons, but we had Ole semifinal bottler. A lot of issues with these type of cup. Like this is like when you're trying to come up. When you're trying to come up in the game, like when Ole was coming up in the game. 5 semifinals, lost all 5, went to the one final in Europa League, we lose. It's like if we were able to get to another cup final, say EFL, get that experience, would we have lost Europa League? Probably not, right? I mean, Ole was learning on the job. So these are the type of competitions where Ted Hag needs to learn what it's like to play at Wembley. Like, this is what the players need. So um, I think it's a huge opportunity for United, and we need to be lifting some silverware this season. Speaking of lifting silverware this season, we got a next match, and that is Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest at Old Trafford. It is the second leg. We're up 3-0, and the game will be played Wednesday, February 1st. Can't believe it's already February. Noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Lifetime versus Nottingham Forest, 150, drawn 24, lost 33. First time we ever played them was 1892. We drew 1-1 in the first division. And obviously, last 5, we've won them all, including the 3-0 in the first leg. Nottingham Forest, actually, they had a game canceled. They will not play anyone in between the fixtures, so they're going to have more rest than Manchester United, but they are a Premier League side. They did get
they had a game canceled, or did they get booted out of the FA Cup, sir?
No, they got booted out of the FA Cup, but before that, they had a game canceled. But regardless, they will not play in between these games. They did give us a bit of a run for our money. So this isn't like you and me are kind of like, ha ha ha, we're into Wembley. But we aren't. They could come and score a few goals here. They could make it nervy. They could have made it nervy. That 1-1, that VAR call. So you want to talk about the VAR gods. They took away the Nottingham Forest equalizer. They took away our Reading go-ahead goal, a Rashford goal. But I would argue that if Nottingham Forest scored, it'd be a whole different picture coming into this game.
No, 100%. Because they're at home. They could have gotten the fans back in it. It might have been harder to get those subsequent goals from Manchester United. But that ain't the case. I don't disagree with what you're saying. So I think Erik ten Hag has that in mind. On the weekend, I believe we have Palace coming up at home. So maybe we can get some revenge after they held us to a late draw down in Selhurst Park. But it's totally a good point. You know, who does he play? He played the second string in terms of center back today. He probably needs to get Martinez and Varane a run out so their legs don't get soft because there's so many games coming. So it'll be an interesting one. We're in the driver's seat. We've got a cup on the horizon looking just a month away, so it's going to be at the famous Wembley. If it is Newcastle, which I think it will be, that would be a hell of a cup tie because they're obviously a new Newcastle, Bonesaw FC, and Manchester United. We love a cup final, sir. The fans love it. We love it. And goddamn, we need a piece of silverware. And if this manager can get to a final in his first 6 months and win it, then that would be a good start.
We're playing a strong team, by the way. We're playing a really strong team
They're
for the
good
first
Newcastle.
half of this game.
Oh, yeah.
No, not Newcastle. We're talking about Nottingham Forest, sir. We're talking about Nottingham
One
Forest
game
at
at a
home.
time,
This
bro.
guy's already.
My brain's already at Wembley.
This guy's already at Wembley. You know what? You know how that is? You know what that is? That's called the Alex jinx. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
off.
it's like Anderson shirt. I can go through them all. I can start listing off all the
you got some
jinxes.
shirts too, brother. You got some shirts
also,
too.
this podcast jinx this team too. So Alex saying we're going to Wembley, that's the jinx right there. Nottingham Forest 2-0 is totally a possibility, by the way. Like them hitting us for 2, like very possible that we could be down 2-0 somehow, like with a bad start at Old Trafford, De Gea error. You know, it could go.
I know you know that. He's got that in his locker for sure.
No, but this is the type of like it's a trap game. Everyone's like, we won 3-0. It's easy. We're going to Wembley. All the Muppets are like you. And then boom, you know, punched in the mouth, and all of a sudden you're fighting for your life. So
Lingard banger, and all of a sudden they're in the game.
It's more like I could see a Garnacho starting, like the attack you can rotate, you get Rashford some rest, etc. But you got to start full strength, like back line, full strength midfield. You're gonna need to really just like deal with this game, kind of take the sting out of it. The first 15 minutes is everything.
Yeah.
The first 15 minutes is everything. Nottingham Forest is going to throw everything at you. You got to be able to take the best punch. Erik ten Hag's going to go strong. I know we're all thinking he's going to rotate. No. We want to be going to Wembley. We're that close to a trophy. I think you need all hands on deck for that first half. Injuries for Manchester United. Donny van de Beek, he's out. Luke Shaw got sick. Hopefully he can return. Jadon Sancho's on the bubble. Haven't seen him on the bench yet. him coming back could be huge for Manchester United. Delo, this thigh injury,
It's lingering,
lasting
huh?
a lot. It's lingering. You don't like to see that with the muscle injuries. Twanzebe training with the squad, and Martial as well.
Also lingering.
Yeah,
Got no
lingering.
update.
You know, that's no good. No, and no update.
No
These are the
backup.
problems.
No
Like,
backup.
yeah, and hey, that's why we needed a proper director of football. Given those injuries, what is your lineup? I see you got a full Muppet, Tom Heaton in net. Like this guy, like we got people actually listening to this podcast.
What?
You should actually think through your lineup here. You got Brandon. This guy's got Brandon Williams in there. Like this is an EPL team. Like,
tell me what you really think, bro. Like, I can't.
hey, how about you say your lineup?
I'm sorry, we're not shaking. I'm not shaking in my boots about Jesse Lingard and Nottingham Forest and their manager. It looks like he already got fired. That manager always makes that same face, like he's already lost his job, even though somehow they're in 13th place. Anyway, this is my lineup. I am going Muppet take, and I could definitely be wrong because you've convinced me that Eric Ten Hag is going for strength, as he probably should. Heaton in net, Williams, Maguire, Lindelof, Malacia. Williams needs to come in because AWB's been playing every game. Same with Malacia now that Shaw's been sick. But Fred, McTominay, Bruno, Garnacho on the left, Vout up front because he's the only number 9 we have, and Facundo on the right, sir. Given that you're so convinced I'm going to be wrong about the 11, enlighten me, please.
I'm hoping Luke Shaw comes back. Left back, we got Dave in number 1 in net. I'm going to say Varane, Martinez, Wan-Bissaka, Erickson, Casemiro, Bruno, Rashford, Wout, and Anthony. You're going to get like a big time, full strength lineup, and then rotate heavy into the second half. If we can get a goal, but you'll start seeing kids come in. I just think you got to go full steam ahead. We got to get to Wembley. We're dying for a trophy. Ten Hag knows that. He knows he's getting no reinforcements from the Glazers.
Nothing. As you said on the hot takes, sir, there's not even rumors that are plausible. There's not even like the lone rumors. It's all like, oh, we're gonna, I don't even know, like Enzo, the guy from Argentina that got the huge price tag, 120 million, that was probably going to Chelsea. Like, we're not buying anyone, but we're not even being attracted to a loan offer to try and strengthen. We'll talk about it in the news in a second, but there is nothing happening.
It's better than doing too much January business. You know what I mean? Like, I look at Arsenal and Chelsea. They're buying too many players.
Well,
they're buying too many. Like, it's like they don't know what they're doing. That's like doing too much January business is not good either. Because then you're integrating people and it's all scrambled eggs. I feel like you really just like United just need like another body at number 9. And it's clear as day, like, because with Martial out and Wout goes down, I mean, you see that guy running around the pitch. I mean, like, he looks like an injury. Like, he's got those
long limbs,
you know, like long limbs. Of course, like, how is he not gonna like let that knee just like shatter? You know, it's like it just looks like he will.
He played well today, by the way. Shout out to Wow. I mean, he ran all over the pitch. His hold-up play is pretty good. He could be a little bit better in the air. He had one decent chance where he probably should have made more of it, but he's like, for a cheap player, he could do a job. He's a squad player for sure.
Yes. Okay. For a cheap player, he can run around.
He can run around.
Yeah, I could run around.
Not
too.
like that, bro.
I think, you know, you put me in a professional like training environment.
Sure, bro.
I can run around.
How old are you?
I can run around. I'm 6'2". You know, I probably got a step on Wout actually. You know, I'd like to see that.
He's like, how old are you now? He's 30. You're like 38, bro. 37.
I got to step. Hey.
You're better than me.
I got some lightning in the bottle, baby. That would be all right. Like, just put him on the line, 40-yard dash. Wow, let's go.
I would pay so much money to see that, you versus Wout in a foot race. Man United are the favorites, minus 300. The draw plus 370, and Nottingham Forest at plus 700. Sir, given the odds, what is your score prediction?
I'm going to say 2-1 Nottingham Forest. It'll be nervy.
Woo! 1-0. Manchester United does the job. I think John gets it right. I think John gets it spot on, which is like we play a strong 11, rotate, get a goal, and we march on. And it's on to Palace on the weekend, sir. Let's get into some news.
United in the news. Manchester United board scathing about Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid to purchase club from the Glazers. Manchester United are reportedly furious with Sir Jim Ratcliffe's plans to buy the club, as they are convinced that the Nice owner has no intention of meeting the Glazers' demand of offering $6 billion. He is spending around $4 billion. It's been rumored. And this is when you get to the crux of the biscuit when it comes to buying Manchester United. We heard they're going to sell their club. They need to sell the whole club. Then they got a data room like no big deal, despite Simon Stone making it like it's a big deal. Data room's like literally first step. And then now it's about who's going to pay and how much. And Jim Ratcliffe can't afford $6 billion because you got to put $2 billion in. We talked about it.
Yeah.
You buy this asset, it's plus $2 billion because it needs a new stadium and it needs investment in Carrington, the training ground, and you have to invest in the squad. Probably
and front office.
To the tune of, yes, but like to the tune of like $700 million. So if you put $700 million into the squad in the front office, you put $300 million into Carrington, and you put $1 billion into the stadium. That's probably not enough because if you want to rebuild the stadium, it might cost you $2 billion. Obviously, you could finance it with some debt. Now, everyone's afraid of the D word debt, but if you have a responsible owner,
that's true.
Doing that dividends is actually not a big deal. Like if you look at what Levy's doing at Tottenham, like the debt's not really impacting the team because they're playing NFL games. The stadium's actually a revenue generator, net positive for the club. And anyone looking at doing anything to Manchester United Stadium has to be thinking in the same vein. Like imagine like NFL games at Old Trafford. Now, I'm sure if you're in London or you're in Europe and you're listening to that, you're throwing up all over the place like Team America World Police. But
get some.
But that's the future, and ultimately we should be doing that. We should be doing whatever it takes to have our stadium be a multi-sport venue so that we can have NFL games, make money, invest that money into the team. And it's not a bad thing to make money as long as you're investing in the right areas of the club. So, some people are offended by that, but that's where things are going. And I think in order to make those types of investments, it's going to require lots of money. And so that's why you see Jim Ratcliffe saying, I'm not going to pay you $6 billion and then put $2.5 billion in. I actually need to take that off the top. So I am technically paying $6 billion, but I'm taking the $2 billion I need to invest off the top. And that's where it's coming out because you should be charged that amount of money because you just haven't invested in it. So this is the negotiation going on in public. The only person that can solve all of these problems is just somebody who has a nation state wealth. And I don't know, no one's really kind of popped out so far, but we're going to see more news like this. And obviously Radcliffe, his bid's going to be a little more complicated. He's going to need some financing, et cetera, to get there. But we'll see who comes out on top. My guess, I would be very surprised if someone from the Middle East who has unlimited resources just doesn't buy this club, because as far as the branding goes, there's not a better brand in the world. I mean, New York Yankees. You're talking like, what are the that?
Cowboys, Yankees,
Cowboys,
Real Madrid,
Yankees,
Manchester United, maybe
it's
Barca.
Like there's top 10.
Elite.
There's a top.
Yeah.
There's a top 10 list of like worldwide sporting brands. This is one of them. It
Lakers.
Trades probably every 20 to 30 years.
Right.
And right now, the only people that can pay the money the Glazers want is nation state wealth. And we'll see how this goes. It's going to be interesting how the sale process plays out.
And Ratcliffe, it always was one of those that sounded too good to be true, to be honest, because United fan growing up, richest man in England, owned a club, and, Nice hasn't gone well. If you ask people who are Nice fans, he has not been the best owner, but his other sporting enterprises around F1 have done much better. But that being said, at the end of the day, this is a bidding war, and it's going to be about who can pay the most money to the Glazers, net. That's all they give a shit. That's all they care about, is who's going to put the most amount of money in their pocket. And if Ratcliffe is going against Middle Eastern buyers that are doing it for reasons that are not just about economics, then it's going to be hard for him to compete. And that is what it is. But at the end of the day, you made so many good points, sir. I have no problem with Old Trafford being a multi-use stadium. I don't want them to sell the name, but I could also understand like that's the way times are going as well. I really don't like it. But hosting NFL games in the offseason where you can rotate the actual pitch because you have that level of technology that you can sub in a turf pitch for your grass pitch. What's not to love? It's like, I think one of the reasons that obviously they don't do NFL games because of the grass versus Wembley that, can switch it in and out. But it's just lost its luster as one of the great stadiums in Europe. It still has it, but like fans who go there week in, week out.
It has never lost its luster.
I'm not saying it's luster, but it's been, sir, I'm not saying.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
What? Luster?
The stadium's been neglected. It's been neglected. It's been neglected, and you see it, and it's like you don't realize how much has been neglected. You start going to it, and you start looking up, and you're like, it looks like it's been rotting from the inside. Unbelievable stadium. The fans make it. The history makes it, and it's got that old classic like architecture of it as well. But it needs to be torn down, rebuilt, and whoever's going to do that needs to have deep pocketbooks, like you said, sir, because it's not just buying the club and clearing off the debt and buying new players and getting a new front office and redoing Carrington. You also have to probably do at least $1.5 to $2 billion rebuild of the great Old Trafford.
I don't think it's lost its luster, for the record, because like if you think of a modern state like Tottenham Stadium, you could have a nice stadium. No one gives a hoot about Tottenham Stadium. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, no one cares, right? It's like it's got no soul. They don't win nothing. It's like when you're in your seat at Old Trafford, it's phenomenal.
No, it is. That's true.
It's absolutely phenomenal. And the reason is because you would never build a stadium like that today.
Right.
Right. Because it was literally built up from when John Henry Davies purchased the land, right? And it's been built up and built up and built up over the years. And that pitch is just like, it's a magical place. What happened there? Obviously it's been upgraded over time, but like that is literally the house that Ferguson built. And it's the same as it was in 2013 when we won our last title. And I would like to win our next title in it before we tear it down and rebuild. And for me, because it's a magical place. I'm not going to hate on it. But when you go to the concessions, there's a lot. Like it's funny because you go to say San Francisco, you go to like a Giants game. They got so many like pizza, all this great food, great. It's like the whole thing is like food and all these great concessions. And it's a really nice place. And you go to Old Trafford and you leave your seat to go get like a beer or like a hot dog, and it's depressing.
It's awful.
Sure. It is really. But like, everything but that's fine. But like the whole like out of your seat, like getting a dog. But also you have to think about the function of a football stadium in Manchester is you literally in your seat for 45 minutes. You hit the head, grab a beer, grab a dog, you're in your seat. Right, you're not like in the third inning walking around like looking at the state. You're actually just there to watch the game, and that's why it's a totally different environment. So I could go either way on the renovation or rebuilding, but it's going to come with the new owner, and I hope the new owner has, and whoever the new owner is, right, and we don't choose who it is, I hope they can communicate with the fan base. Like if they want to build a stadium, they like interact with the fans. They ask what the fans want. They show the proposals to the fans. I hope there's a dialogue with the fans. I really hope that is what changes at Manchester United, is that they take football seriously. They take the fans seriously. They shouldn't listen to us on who to buy, but they should just like include us in like the decision-making process for the team. Next bit of news here. We're always going to be talking about the takeover because that's the biggest thing. That's our title this season. So we do cover that a lot here. Next bit of news, Erik ten Hag, he's like,
please sign somebody. Please sign somebody.
Our manager's hungry. He's hungry for signings, and he ain't getting nothing from the board. He urges the club to strike in January. They ain't striking nothing. They're looking to sell this club. So, it makes, at least this time, I'm not shouting in the wind because they're selling, because like last season we needed players, they did nothing. And they weren't selling. So this time, at least I feel good. Like, okay, well, they got Numpty Doo and Numpty D up there working on the sale. So, like I can't expect a lot from the Paella crew.
Those guys managing the data room. Can you imagine? Like, such numpties.
And speaking of January transfer window, some clubs care. Arsenal buying a lot of players, Chelsea buying a lot of players. Casiero, who we
Oof.
talked about purchasing here on the pod when he was worth like nothing, is now all of a sudden 70 million pounds. Again, another reason why Alex and I should be instated as director of football here shortly. Anything else on like just being jealous of all the other clubs signing anyone here?
No, I mean, you made a good point about the fact that other Januaries in the past, it made sense. We know we're not signing anybody because they're not going to put a single dollar into this club before they sell it. So it's like anything but a loan is off the table. This is just a frustrating one because there are so many signings like this, right? Holland, Bellingham, but Casiero is even more kind of apparent because he really wanted to come to United. He was bargained, 4.6 million pounds. Antonio Valencia had personally recommended him as a player, and he fit the profile. We needed a box-to-box midfielder who could do it all. And for the price, we should have been all over this deal, but that's the Glazers.
We got Fred, dude. We got Fred.
Yeah, we got Fred, we got McTominay, and who wants Moise Casiero is going to go for 80 million pounds. More importantly, I would have loved to have him on our team, but if he goes to Chelsea, I'm less worried because they have no fucking clue what they're doing. They're signing players left, right, and center. How many attackers do you need? But he goes to Arsenal. I talked about this when we lost to Arsenal. It's like they still have holes in their squad, and they're the top of the table. What happens is when they upgrade Granit Xhaka, who is a bang average player at best, for a Moise Casiero, they're going to be far, far better. Same with Ramsdale. It's like they have positions they can do a serious upgrade with, and this would be a serious upgrade. And we need our club on our front foot. But like you said, it's all about the sale. That's all that matters. Let's get the Glazers out, and we have eyes on that. And I like what your point is. Like, whatever they do, whoever the new owners are, just have a communication with the fans, have some openness and some communicado because we got nothing from the Glazers. They lied on the way in. They said they'd be open and have communication with us. I think the oldest Glazer, the dead one, never even came to Old Trafford, and he was proud of it. He's like, he never went to a game, and he made a point of it. And I know the Glazers hadn't been to a game since 19. I think they went to one early in the season. But, sir, we want Glazers out. We want Glazers out. That's all I got to say.
No, of course. And it's, it's one of those things where you see these clubs strengthening and, United is just sitting by the wayside. The funny thing is that the journos aren't even like trolling us anymore.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Like that's the real casualty is they're not like making up BS storylines. The fact that it's January 28th and they're not even trying.
No, they're not.
That's like the real funny. That's the funniest part about it. They're not even trying to be like, well, there could be a move, like like all the BS. So I think it's all on the sale. I mean, anytime you have a sale event, it's like it's a huge deal for the club. Anyone who works at the club, people don't know how the new owners are gonna what they're gonna do with the organization, how they're gonna structure it. There's so many questions right now for Manchester United, and none of them are with the director of football. Jumping to fan questions here, sir. Pulling it up right now. At Ty Kircher, quote, a bit slow out of the gates, but the barrage of the Brazilian brilliance beat down that bolstered the doors, and a beautiful brace blew over the Blues from Reading.
Look at all the B's. I love it. You got an A+.
Shout out to
A+ on the tweet.
Shout out to Ty Kircher. Hashtag Glazers out. At Red Devil Woody, quote, good win. On to the next round. Anthony was good tonight. Casemiro was awesome. Rashford unlucky not to get his 10th home game goal. There's no I in team. That Rashford record, I was surprised Ten Hag took him off.
It made sense.
Were you?
I wasn't. I thought, you don't want to chance it just so we can maybe go for the record, which he might have gotten if he got that extra 20, 30 minutes. But you don't want – he's like our attack, bro. He's like, other than Bruno coming forward, scoring a goal, or – Casemiro coming forward and scored a goal. He is like the most productive forward we have by a country mile, so you can't chance it. And if he does re-sign the Ting, which I'm optimistic they will, because if they give him, they gotta just give him Sancho money, and I think he'd be willing to take $350 a week. But who knows? I think he'll take down that record eventually. But you would have loved to see him take over a record that's been standing for so long at Old Trafford.
That's not a record. I mean, to be honest,
10 in a row at OT, that's a record. 10 goals. in a row.
That don't.
This guy's gonna trap the team and fucking outpace Wout Weghorst, and he's talking about scoring 10 goals in a row at home is not a big deal.
Okay, first of all, Wout isn't known for his like speed demon status.
Neither are you,
dude, for the record. It's not like I'm saying I'm willing to put mine on. I'm willing to put it on the line.
I can't wait till we find out this bet. We're gonna meet Wout someday.
Like, fine, hey. I'll tweet Wout and ask him for his 40 time, and I'll try to dust it. Whatever. Don't worry about it. I gotta give me a few months to train. Like it.
Oh, you're the man. This is great.
All I need is some Caramel energy drink. I'll be ready to rock, bro.
We had too much fun. Let's do fun.
At STRSCRM02, quote, how did Casemiro not get man of the match? Rashford on this form is unstoppable unless VAR gets involved. Hashtag Glazers out. You love the Glazers out. And the comment on the Rashford record, it's like, when you're winning trebles and doubles and you're stacking titles, nobody's worried about who's scoring at home. You score, what was it, Jamie Vardy, like EPL, he broke
16 games in a row, right, or something?
No, it wasn't that many. But it was like the most, that's a record where I'm like, if Rashford was scoring like 10 EPL games in a row going for the all-time streak, I'm like, okay, that's a big deal. But the 10 goals at home across all it's that's just kind of like one of those records where it's like score the most goals in the league in a season, break that record. It's like, oh wow. And by the way, when you're winning titles, you're usually breaking records, but I just kind of felt like this record was just one of those caveat record. I don't know.
It's a good point. First of all, you are right. It was 11, and he overtook Ruud van Nistelrooy's record of 11 consecutive games in the EPL. And when you're winning proper shit, you don't give a fuck about it. But you could tell it mattered to you could tell it's true. I agree with you. But you could tell it mattered to Marcus Rashford because he looked fucking pissed coming off. And he doesn't usually look that mad. He looked mad. And I think that is what you see when you have a player with a bit in his mouth who was playing in the best form he's ever played in and just wants goals. And that's what we want to see.
The only record to beat, and the only record I remember, the only records I remember is the Jamie Vardy breaking Ruud van Nistelrooy, the 11 straight, which is insane. And then Wayne Rooney breaking Sir Bobby Charlton's record. And Rashford should, and obviously if he wants to sign and be at United, that will be his record. And to me, that is the record. There's only one record that really would that
most in a season, most in a season, or most ever at the club, or most of the EPL all day, right? Which is what Kane's going for with 0 trophies. But it's a good point.
And Golden Boot, Boot is Golden Boot.
It's be hard to win with Holland in the league.
No, I know, but if Rashford's going for the Golden Boot, I'm yeah, absolutely. But one of these kind of records, it's just too many footnotes for me. So I guess I wasn't as pumped up for it. At Diab2K, quote, does Erik ten Hag realize we need a top striker? Why isn't Elanga given more chances to play? Will Wout assist his plans to build up the team? What do you make?
I mean, I think Erik ten Hag knows better than any of us what he needs, and he knows we need bodies, we need a striker, we need more in midfield, we probably need more in defense.
He signed Anthony to play right wing.
Yeah, well, at that point, he still had Ronaldo on the side, to be fair. So maybe if Ronaldo was out, he would have gone for something differently. And he didn't get a chance to see how good Facundo could be or Garnacho. But, sir, he's going to get multiple windows, and he's going to get new owners that give a shit and will give him money to spend, plus a front office that's capable of not overpaying by probably 30 million pounds like we did for Anthony. That wasn't up to Anthony, and even Erik ten Hag. But I think on the Elanga point, he's had his chances. At this point, he needs to go on loan somewhere in a little bit easier of a league and get his confidence back. Because I think at this point, especially today, you saw the impact that Facundo had. He looked great. He's talking about Anthony as an 85 million pound player not being able to beat his man. Facundo wants to take his man on. Same with Garnacho. Yeah. They both came on. They want to take their players on the outside. And how about also shout out to AWB. I thought he had another good game, had a couple good balls in, but. So I think this manager under a competent front office with decent pockets, they don't have to spend crazy, stupid money, but just competent director of football to execute transfers in a methodical and reasonable way, like we're a dangerous side because he's doing this with like you said, the Paella boy. I like that, the Paella brothers. Like that was the best. Them like walking around Barcelona, a Los Ramblas and be like, "Hey, where's freaking Young? Anyone seen him? You remember that?"
No, and it's of course, yeah. It's really unfair to and Alonga is a perfect example of this. Commenting on the question here. Is we leaned on him too much too early.
Totally.
Right? He came up in the manager merry-go-round, and then he played on the wing, played number. It's just you can't just be switching a young player in different positions. You have to have a plan. You see the young player like Manu, perfect example, coming in today. We're up big. That's the 20 minutes he needs. Not a lot of pressure on him. And I felt like Alonga came in when it was just too much pressure. And then we're rotating him sometimes on the wing, and then he goes to the right wing, now number 9. And so it's for a young player, that's a very challenging environment. And so, we need someone who can play every day at number 9. And right now it's Wout. So that's why I don't think Alonga has thrived there. And we don't have the bodies to give him the time to build up to be a number 9. So maybe alone is the best option, like you said, but there is a way to integrate young players and switching positions and then putting them in spots where you have to have them perform. That's a recipe for disaster. That's why you saw Garnacho this season, Ten Hag build him up over time.
It's a
right?
good point.
And you're starting to see Palestre building him up over time. That's how you get youth players to thrive in first team situations. And it's great that Ten Hag knows that. But unfortunately, I think with Alonga, hasn't gone well for a lot of different factors.
No, you're making a lot of great points. Especially he was starting every game under Ralph Rangnick because I think Rangnick hated everybody else's bad attitude, so he would just play the kid that wanted to fight for it, and that didn't do any good for his confidence. Playing at a poor side, go and play Wolves away, and he's expected to pull out a goal for you. So give him a loan, and you've seen with Erik ten Hag, he knows how to get the best out of players. I'm hopeful that he can get the most out of Jadon Sancho. Talk about a player that needs to put some fire underneath Antony. That's a player that could take a spot on the right wing, and justifiably so, right? He's another big money signing that needs to live up to that price tag.
Last question here from Jamal Mota. Sirs, Brazilian night at Old Trafford. The only thing missing was a team samba. Casemiro, Antony, and Fred all having a ball. Wout was a workhorse, and Rashi's goal should have stood. We move on. Erik ten Hag has his team rolling. Let's go on to Nottingham Forest. What a day. What a game. Hope everyone has a great weekend. That is it. That is the podcast. We are the America Red Devils. We are for fans, by fans. You like the Muppet take. You like the banter on the side of the couch. Please check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/America Red Devils. Support us. We go the direct fan support route. There's tons of benefits on our Patreon page. Check it out. Meet other fans. It's a great community. Write a review, subscribe, share wherever you listen. Little housekeeping. We changed podcast hosting providers recently. So if you're listening on SoundCloud, we'll be posting there as well. But over time, we're probably going to migrate away. Check out our website, AmericaDevils.com. AmericaDevils.store. Everything you buy supports this small-time operation. Sir, give them the top 10 downloads last 7 days.
Number 1, how you doing? Ashburn, Virginia, Columbus, Ohio, New York, Indianapolis, Indiana, Lagos, Nigeria, Norristown, Pennsylvania, Centerville, Virginia, Sydney, Canada, London, England, and last but not least, Solon, Ohio. Appreciate all the American Devils listening week in, week out. Couldn't do without you, sirs and lasses, and another big game in the midweek, because if we win it or don't lose by enough, we are going back to Wembley. It has been way too long. You and I got to go last year for the League One playoffs, saw mighty Sunderland get promoted. Manchester United, silverware. Let's do it. And anyway, the United fans in the Stretford End were bouncing today, and let's bounce out with them. Stretford End Horizon. Have a good week. We'll talk to you all soon.
Rising.